Hey, life groups. I hope everyone has been doing well this week. Currently, I'm recording this Tuesday morning. I'm enjoying the Lord's provision of rain outside, but I know some of our groups meet outside, so hopefully things will be cleared up by Wednesday. And man, I had such a great time going through the Word and the story of Mephibosheth on Sunday morning. One of the most powerful pictures of the gospel in the entire Bible, let alone the Old Testament. So it was really beautiful time together. And I know we had some professions of faith. We had some people rededicating their lives to the Lord. So it was just so sweet to see the Spirit moving through the Word on Sunday morning. And I hope He continues to do so in your life groups tonight with these questions. So I just want to go over kind of the heart behind each question that we have. The first question, obviously, as we looked at David's conquests in chapter 8, we saw that, one of our main applications is that God is a promise-making and promise-keeping God. God was keeping His promises as He prospered. He helped David defeat Israel's enemies. And so how has God shown Himself in your life to be a promise-making and promise-keeping God? And this could be those promises that are in Scripture. Those are the ones that are sure. Like, we can take those to the bank. It could be something a little more subjective, maybe something that you really, a promise from the Lord, you felt that the Spirit was really, was really laying on your heart, and sometimes it's difficult to discern those things, like, was that just me or was it the Spirit? But maybe there's been an instance in your life where you really felt the Lord giving you a personal promise and He followed through and He made good on that. There are those too, but then, there's those Bible promises. Like David had Bible promises, and those are the ones that were absolutely sure for him. Again, that he could take those to the bank. There was no doubt that those were going to come true for him. Our second question revolves around how David took all of the items, the silver, the gold, the shields, all the stuff he obtained from defeating his enemies. And it says he dedicated that to the Lord. And of course, he would go on to use those materials, we believe, in the building of the temple, or really to hand those materials off to Solomon for the building of the temple of the Lord. And it made me think of, the things, the material blessings. It could be material, it could be something less tangible, but the blessings we have in our lives, how can we dedicate those things to the Lord? Things as practical as my home, my car, maybe a skill that you have. How can we take kind of those spoils that we have, the prosperity, the blessings in our life, and say, God, I'm going to set this apart for your use, which really should be everything in our lives, our bodies, our possessions. Giving those things over to the Lord is such an important thing. We talked about David's cabinet in chapter 8 and how he surrounded himself with wise, godly mentors. And again, we don't know all those men, and even a guy like Joab is a little iffy sometimes, but like I said, we know that Gad and Nathan, they were prophets, they were godly, they were in the mix. If we're going to do well in the area of life that God's called us to, then we need to have wise counselors, godly people in our life, people who aren't just going to tell us what we want to hear, but are going to point us back to Scripture. Do you have those people in your life? And if so, how have they been a benefit to you? Again, this could be in general, it could be specific. But then finally, our last question. This is where we spent most of our sermon, and I hope you can get around to it and spend a lot of time on this question. The last one is how did the Lord's relationship with Mephibosheth, this guy, he's crippled in both feet. His name means from the mouth of shame. He comes from Lo Debar, which is that place of fruitlessness, barrenness, pastureless land, and he represents the enemies of David. He's an enemy of David. How does that story reflect your own personal relationship with God? How has He brought you up from that shame and that barrenness and took you from being an enemy of God to now being a friend of God and in relationship with Him? I think it would be really good for your group tonight to spend a good amount of time reflecting upon the truths of the gospel we saw between Mephibosheth and David and the parallel it has in our own relationship with the Lord. So that's the heart behind your questions tonight. I hope you guys have a great time as you meet and discuss the things of the Lord together.